Okay, we are on chapter 4. Never had I seen so many wagons and tents or the smoke of so many campfires. From my favorite perch up on the spring seat of our wagon, they stretched out as far as I could see, and more families were arriving in Independence every day. I wondered how they would ever find an unoccupied spot to make camp. Father had made arrangements for us to travel in a large train of 100 wagons. In just 3 or 4 days, we would be starting out. The men had met to choose a captain and other officers and had written out rules to make the journey easier together. In the meantime, everyone was busy replenishing food supplies in the bustling shops of Independence, trading for the strongest oxen and mules, making last-minute repairs on wagons, giving the wheels a final greasing so that they would roll along smoothly. "My land," said Mother, shaking her head at all the noise, "this surely is a lively place." I had to agree. Many families were traveling in large groups, with 3 or 4 wagons and drivers hired on to herd their cattle. All day long, hammers banged and saws buzzed, dogs barked and cattle bawled. Children were everywhere, racing around campfires, jumping over wagon tongues, tripping over tent pegs. Some of the men were rough-looking and quarrelsome, and Mother warned us to stay away from them. Every day there were dog fights and sometimes fist fights. It was so different from our peaceful evenings with just our family around the campfire. But I liked the excitement. Next to our wagon was a family named Grant, who had a son, David, about John's age. Within hours, we had all become fast friends. John and David rode off together to drive the cattle to pasture. Mother and Mrs. Grant were comparing pie recipes while Father and Mr. Grant worked to repair a broken wheel on the Grant's wagon. I had a way sometimes of thinking of people as animals, and Mr. Grant put me in mind of a strutting red rooster in a barnyard. He was a little man who walked like a big man, chest puffed out, full of smiles and talk and elaborate plans. His wife, thin and nervous as a bedraggled hen, looked as if she was worn out trying to keep up with him. "Where are you from?" Mother asked her that first day. "Most recently from Illinois," Mrs. Grant answered, "but I was born in Massachusetts." It turned out that they had lived in 5 states, but never long in any one, as Mr. Grant was too restless to stay put. Each move had brought them farther west, but this one, Mrs. Grant claimed, was going to be their last. "You can't go farther west than the Pacific," she said, with a smile that seemed a little sad to me. Nearby was another family with 2 children just the same ages as Lavina and me. I played games of Annie over with red-headed, laughing Charlie and a bunch of other boys, one team on either side of his wagon. We tossed a ball over, and whoever caught it would run around the wagon and try to tag one of the other team. If you were tagged, you had to join that team. The game went on, full of running and shouting, laughing and arguing, until everyone was on the same side. And Lavina had Charlie's little sister, Matilda, to play dolls and other quiet games. When Mother called us, Lavina would return to the wagon as neat and tidy as when she had left, while I came back all rumpled and dirty, my dress covered with dark grass stains. It seemed as if Mother was constantly frowning at me. My real mother wouldn't care about a few grass stains, I thought, scowling. Inside my head, I could see her again, little and lively and smiling, sunlight glinting on her bright copper hair. In another camp was an old grandmother, not like Grandma at all, but wrinkled and shriveled looking, who always had a pipe in her mouth. I had to pass her wagon every time I went to fetch water for Mother. "Howdy, sis," she would say to me in a cracked high voice. "What be your name?" Mary Ellen Todd, I would answer. She would stare at me, her pipe bobbing slowly up and down. You do be a fine little gal, she told me. And the next time I passed by on my way to fetch water, she would say exactly the same thing. Also, in a wagon near us was a girl named Lucinda, who had been very sick for a long time. I had never seen her because she could not come outside, except on the warmest days. But her mother told my mother that the family was making the journey west in hopes of curing her. One morning, Mother used the last of her eggs to make a boiled custard. Perhaps Lucinda would like some, she said to me. Would you take over a cup? Hesitantly, I approached her family's wagon. I did not know what a very sick girl would look like. Lucinda, I called softly. A hand reached out and pulled aside the wagon flap, and I could see inside. Sitting on a mattress, a gray wool shawl draped around her shoulders, was a dark-haired girl with a thin, delicate face. Her mother sat next to her, combing out her long hair. My mother thought you might like some custard, I said, holding out the cup. Slowly the girl turned her head, looking at me with large brown eyes. Her face was as white as the wagon cover, the skin covering it nearly transparent, as if you might see inside to blood and bone. She reminded me of something, but I couldn't quite remember what. Thank you very much, she said in a light musical voice. A butterfly, I thought as I hurried away. That was what she reminded me of, a frail, fluttering white butterfly. I went to look for Charlie. Suddenly, I felt the urge to run and jump and play loud shouting games. The best times in camp were in the evenings. Campfires burned cheerily in the darkness, and everyone would gather around them. The men told stories, long and rambling and punctuated with deep bursts of laughter, while the women knitted or sewed in half light. Some of the camps had fiddles or flutes or banjos, and music seemed always in the air. Lavina and I played games of hide and seek with Charlie and Matilda and the other children until Mother found us and sent us to bed. Afterward, I lay listening to the sound of a nearby fiddle, gay, rollicking melodies that could change unexpectedly to a slow, sorrowful tune that brought tears to my eyes, until I finally went to sleep. I'm going to stop there for now. There are 3 words that I would like for you to look up or try to figure out. If you want to do that a different way, you can. However, you can look them up at home. The first word is transparent. The skin covering it nearly transparent. And then I also would like you to, where did it go? Look up the word bedraggled. And oh, there it is. His wife, thin and nervous as a bedraggled hen. And the third word was elaborate. What does elaborate mean? So look up those 3 words, transparent, bedraggled, and elaborate. Let me know what you think they are. See you later.